Hi, Dr. Christensen here. Today I'm going to be demonstrating an allergy elimination treatment the way that I do it. I've combined NAET, which is Suboccipital Allergy Elimination Technique, and Bioset, which I learned from Dr. Ellen Cutler, and another form called Precision Meridian Therapy. And I've taken the best of these, combined it into something that I believe is very, very thorough and very effective, to the point that most of my patients have no problem at all doing this. And so we're gonna jump right in and demonstrate how to do that. Written instructions on this can be found in my Allergy Elimination Manual, which you're able to purchase through us. And but follow the demonstration here, and you'll get a really good idea. The first thing that we treat with all of our patients is treating them for their own organs, their glands, their immune system, and digestive tract. This encompasses essentially the first 18 treatments in AET. And so we found that if we can combine all of these together, it really works well. It's kind of like tuning the orchestra before the concert begins. And so I find that the allergy treatments do work if you don't do this first, but they work so much better if you do. And again, what I've got here are two vials. One represents the organs and glands. One represents the immune system and digestive tract. The way we made these is using our biomeridian computer, sending the electromagnetic frequencies into the vials, and the vial is able to hold that energy. And so that's the first thing that we do before we do any other treatments. Again, it's going to save you 18 treatments if you were following the NAET, but we're able to compress that into one treatment. I'm not going to do that today because the person we're going to work on has already had this done. We're going to work on something that is very common with a lot of people. Interesting to note, we tend to become addicted to the things that we're allergic to. And so one key that you're allergic to something is you crave it. And it could be something that's healthy, it could be something that's non-healthy. One of the key ones that we find is sugar. And so we're going to do a treatment for sugar today. And so the first thing that we're going to be treating today is sugar. Sugar, again, being one of the more common ones. One of the things that I find is you do not need to have the electronically formatted vial. And trust me, I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on these little vials, and then I decided that, you know, I could use my own vial. And so rather than having an electronic coded vial of sugar, guess what I've got? I've got a vial of sugar. You don't need to use a vial. You can use a Ziploc baggie, you could use a baby food jar, you could use anything, because the electromagnetic field is going to penetrate through whatever container that you have, and the body will be able to recognize it. One other point that you need to understand when you're doing the allergy elimination treatments, it is not necessary to muscle test. Often a practitioner will use a muscle test to determine if somebody is allergic, and that's fine. I do that in my practice. But if you already know or you have a suspicion of an allergy, it is not necessary to muscle test to perform the treatment. And so what I've got here is I've got 4 different types of sugar. I've got your plain old white sugar. I've got some raw honey in a vial. I have corn syrup, and I have a raw cane sugar. And so just to cover all bases, I'm going to have the patient hold these in her hand while we do the treatment. It's vitally important that every time you do a treatment, the person is holding in their hand what they're sensitive or allergic to. Otherwise, the body won't know what it's being treated for. It doesn't necessarily need to be in a hand. If I'm treating an infant or a small child, sometimes we'll tuck it into the sock. I've learned not to tuck it into the diaper. And so let me have Trish come over here, and we're going to treat her for the sugar. And so in essence, I'm going to show you what I do with a muscle test. Again, it's not necessary to do a muscle test. I will simply have her hold in her hand the thing that she's being treated for, and I can do just a simple muscle test. Hold real strong, and it's weak. Understand, when we're doing a muscle test, it is not a muscle strength test, it is a muscle response test. I'm checking to see if the muscle can lock in and engage. And in her case, it did not. There's a reflex on the temple of the head that will allow me to know if the body can accept this treatment. And so if I muscle test her again, hold strong, and she's strong with that reflex, we know that we can do this. Sometimes I will want to treat multiple things at the same time. Again, the goal is to treat people as economically and as quickly as we can. And so sometimes we'll combine things. If you're doing this at home, don't worry about combining things. Just treat the thing. So the first step of the treatment, again, she's holding in her hand the thing we're being treated for. I'm going to have her lie face down on the table with your face right in the paper there. It's not necessary for the person to be laying down, but in this clinical environment, it's easier. You can have your family member or who you're treating lay down on the bed. They can lay on the floor. You could do this sitting. You can do this standing up. It's important to note that what I'm going to be doing next is actually a neurologic treatment. I'm actually activating the sympathetic nervous system or the parasympathetic nervous system. And I do this by engaging her in different patterns of breathing. If you hold your breath in, that's a sympathetic response, and is a parasympathetic response. Breathing rapidly is a sympathetic response, and breathing normally is a parasympathetic. And so while she does each of those, as I direct her, I'm going to be tapping my hands down her spine, activating different acupuncture points. These are referred to as associated points. They have associations with each of the 12 meridians, and so we're going to activate that. So I'm going to just kneel down here. Let me have you take a breath in and hold your breath in. And I just tap all the way down. Keep your breath in. Don't breathe out. And then blow all the way out. Hold your breath out now. Don't breathe in. Keep the breath in. Don't breathe in. And then blow. And then next I'm going to have you, and so I come back up. Next I'm going to have you pant in and out, kind of a, just like that. Again, we're trying to elicit in the brain a sympathetic response. And finally, just breathe normally. I'm not tapping any point in specific. Understand that I'm tapping these points. The vibration, the tapping is going to give the treatment. That's the first step of the treatment. Go ahead and sit up now. Interesting enough, just doing this is often enough to treat the allergy, and that can work. However, what we like to do is we like to reinforce it, and so there's 19 acupuncture points that we're going to be rubbing. When we treat an acupuncture point, we can use a needle, we can use a cold laser, we can use electrical stimulus, we can use acupressure, or we could simply rub the point. And most people would prefer to have the point rubbed than poked. And so that's what we're going to do. So go ahead and lay down on your back now, face up. In my manual, I have a diagram of the points that we treat. Again, there's 19 points. Most of the points are paired, so you'll be doing the same point on either side of the body. I will talk you through these, and there's, again, a clear description in the manual how to find these points. It's not necessary to follow a specific order, but you know what? I always follow the same order. That way I don't forget something. And so the first point that we rub, and you notice she's still holding the vials, the first point we rub is found between the thumb and the first finger in the web of the hand. And we rub the point. It can be back and forth, it can be up and down. Again, we just want to stimulate the point. About 10 seconds is all we need. The next point here, as she bends her elbow, you notice the crease in the arm here. That's the point that we rub, right at the end of the crease. And we rub the point here. Each of these points has an acupuncture name, but you don't need to know those. The next point here, we find the tip of the elbow, about an inch up. There's a little notch or a little groove between the muscles, and that's our next point. Moving along to the head, we're working on it's actually called the suboccipital muscles, and so it's not the back of the head, it's just in the muscles right behind the head. And it's easy to do both of these at the same time. So I'm rubbing the left and the right. at the same time. The next point here, you find the holes in the ear, you draw a line straight up to the top of the head, and that's where the point is there. And then we go down the other side. The point behind the elbow, towards the shoulder, the point at the crease of the arm, and then our large intestine 4 point, web of the hand. We're halfway there. Next point is right below the kneecap. And so it's straight on the back of the leg in what's called the popliteal fossa. And we rub that point. The next point is on the outside of the leg, just down. If I cross my hand over my leg and I put my hand here, right where the tip of the middle finger is. This is probably the trickiest point to find. Here's a secret. You need to stimulate the point. If you're not sure exactly where it is, just make a big circle. And so you can rub that point and you're going to get it. The next point is 3 fingers up from the inside ankle. Now, note that it's 3 of her fingers, not my fingers. So if I was working on a small child or an infant, guesstimate what it would be for them. So we rub 3 fingers up. And this is a spleen point. The next point that we rub is what I call a bunion point. It's if she were to have bunion, she would have a large knob on the inside of her big toe, and I rub that right on the side. The next point, we roll into the groove between the tendons of the foot and go up about an inch. That's liver number 3. And then we go to the other side, same points. Between the tendons on the foot, to the side of the foot. Notice, it doesn't matter what finger I'm using. I use my finger here, I use my thumb here. I could rub it with my arm or my elbow if I wanted to. The point is we want to stimulate that acupuncture point. And there's been articles published that show that the key with an acupuncture point is to stimulate it. And it really doesn't crucially matter what you're using. The point 3 fingers above the inside ankle there, the side of the leg here, behind the knee here, and here's a key. We always finish where we began. And so I began with the right hand, I'm going to finish with the right hand. And that's it. And so in essence, that's what we do. The beauty of this treatment is there is no avoidance period. I know in NAAT when I was doing that, we would put people with gloves on their hands and masks, and they would leave the office and be instructed, don't breathe this or touch this, or it would undo the treatment. Because we are treating so many acupuncture points, we are basically taking the body through all the meridians, and we don't need to wait that 24-hour period where the energy cycles through all the meridians. Go ahead and sit up now. If you're doing a muscle test, I could test here, and she's strong. So in essence, that's the treatment. One of the things that I find very interesting when we do these treatments, again, as I mentioned earlier, we are breaking the allergy. In essence, we're deleting the faulty computer virus that's giving us the wrong signal. But we're also breaking that addiction connection. And so I instruct my patients, observe your relationship with sugar and see what you notice. And very often what we'll find is the craving, or what I call the no stop button when they're eating this particular food, is now activated, meaning that they can put a stop to it. Ideally, especially with sweets, we should be able to enjoy something sweet, some fruit or something at the end of a nice meal, and that will hit the spot. I recall a patient years ago who opened her purse and she said, some days the only thing I eat is candy. And she showed me her purse, and I thought, oh my goodness, I don't eat this much candy in 2 years. After the treatment, she came back the next week, and she reported, she said, you'll never believe this, I haven't had any candy for a week, and I don't miss it. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to break that allergy addiction response. And so as you do these treatments, you don't have to avoid the food that we treated you for, or the environmental aggravant, but don't push your luck. And so again, if you are treating someone for a severe allergy, peanuts or something, you don't treat them for peanuts and then sit down to peanut butter sandwiches. Use your common sense. Often we'll find that we need to treat things multiple times. And at home, that's no big deal. You can do a treatment every 24 hours. And so often we have parents that they'll get up in the morning and decide, this is what we're going to treat today. And so I hope this helped you. Again, if you're interested, we can sell you these vials for the organs and glands and the immune system, digestive tract. We have the manuals available. The key and the exciting thing about this is you can do the treatments at home and save a lot of money and learn to help your friends and family. One last reminder, this is one of many videos that we have on our YouTube channel, and go on there, view some of the other things. We cover a myriad of different topics, and so subscribe and I can't think of anything else to say. And so say something.